Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Get yourself comfortable and prepare for some interesting stories. One of them is a story about an OP who saved a kid from drowning, and the dad who threatened to call the cops on OP. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So here's the context. I'm visiting my grandparents here in Fulton, Kentucky. I love going to the lakes, so we go to the one called Reelfoot Lake. As I found out, there's a big tree that is climbable, and the top jumping branch is about 25 feet in the air. Most people are jumping from about 10 feet, but one kid, about 15 years old, wanted to jump from the top also. So when he gets up there and goes, he lands flat on his back. I guess he didn't know proper diving technique. I wait for him to move out of the way or something. The trees in Kentucky, Tennessee are in the water kind of far out in the lake. But he pops up saying, "Help! You can't breathe, can't swim," and nobody else was paying any attention to him. So I jumped down and swam to him. He's a pretty big guy, bigger than me, and I had to swim underwater to keep him afloat and push him to shore. Once we got there, his parents asked what happened, and I told them the story. The mom seemed to take care of her son and try and figure out what was wrong. But the dad started to question me and call me terrible names. He said I should not have let him do it on his own, and he was going to call the police. I tried to explain to him that his son was drowning from his injury that he must have gotten from the fall, but he kept on insisting. The kid was coughing up water and was pale-faced sitting on the grass, and Mom kind of took the dad and talked to him with her backs turned. She must have talked him out of it because he just ignored me, and they hauled the kid in their car. I hope he's okay, and that they got him taken care of. Was kind of surreal as that was the first time I've ever had to save anyone from drowning. Really sorry you experienced that kind of totally inappropriate reaction. Definitely says a lot about the guy's own strange insecurities and nothing about you. But you're an amazing person for risking your own safety for someone else like that when nobody else was taking any action. And you could very well have saved his life. I'm sure he appreciates it, and is probably really embarrassed his father reacted that way. Hope that guy gets the help he obviously needs. I can't imagine what type of toxic environment he's probably creating at home for his family. This is a true story about my father. I might sound like a bad person talking about my parents this way, but it's true. I'm no angel and I've had a rough life. P.S. If you see me talk about money, 80 Indian rupees equals $1. To be honest, I had a rough childhood. The relationship between me and my father was really bad. I'm the second child and I have an older sister. Apparently my dad wanted another daughter, hence he started avoiding me from the day I was born. Like he didn't even show up at the hospital that day, so my mom had to go to the hospital alone, give birth to a baby, and come back home with this new baby, me. He avoided me so much that whenever my family would go shopping, everyone would get something with them. A cloth, toffee, or anything they wanted. I, on the other hand, would not have anything. If I asked for something, he would slap me in the middle of the road inside the shop and throw a loud tantrum, like I asked him to do something illegal. Let me be clear here. After a few years, I turned 8 or 9, I did start arguing back. I started to push him to the extremes to make him feel what I felt like. But he would handle it all the same way, yell at me, slap me, even until this day. I have social anxiety disorder because of the experiences I had. Not only that, he loved throwing away my stuff. When I was young, I had the hobby of collecting stuff. My oldest memory is me collecting shells from the beach. He would throw everything away saying it was worthless. I started collecting stamps, and he used them all to send letters to his friends. I collected coins, and he threw them all in the toilet. I collected fossils. Not lying, I had fossils. He waited until I filled a bucket of amber and other kinds of fossils, sent a verification to the archaeological department to verify it. They verified it and said they are original and could get me thousands if I sell them. I didn't want to sell them. I wanted to collect more. Days later, he took all of it and threw it away because, I quote, carrying bones inside the house would bring demons inside. I gave up fighting him at that point. I was around 13 to 15 at the time. I thought if I could bear a few more years, I could get my own life, with my own rules. When the time came for me to go to college, he wouldn't let me choose my favorite course. I was forced to choose IT. Not regretting that, but that wasn't my thing. I just agreed and lived in the hostel. He went abroad for work after that. I thought I could live my life after that, but he doesn't let go of me that easily. He gave his number to like everyone in my college, my roommates, classmates, professors, etc. And he'd investigate me every day. If I don't respond the way he likes, he'd send my sister, fan favorite, to get my mobile phone and make me realize what it's like to be lonely. After 4 years and 1 year of training, I got a nice job at an MNC that I've always looked up to. In January this year, I got my first salary. I wanted to have a lot of fun with it, like having good food in a nice restaurant with my friends, going out on a hiking trip, etc. That's when he shows up again, after all these years, giving me everything I wanted. He'd have my food on the plate before I get to the table. The water heater would be on for hours before I could go to the bathroom for a bath, and stuff like that. My mother, being the kind-hearted angel she is, warns me that he's doing it to get my money and nothing else. And just like she said, a few days later my dad comes to me and demands that I send him 3,000 rupees. Like I said before, I was still a trainee. My salary was hardly above 5K, so I straight up refused to pay him that much. He was working abroad, so I was pretty sure he already had millions in his account and just didn't want to spend his own money. Then the blackmailing starts. My grandma, sister, uncles, and everyone in my family insisted on me paying my dad because family comes first. So, after a lot of arguments, I decided to take the hard way around. I pay him the 3K, pack my stuff, and move out. I removed my dad's name from the nominee and insurance list that my company provides. Free healthcare in all major hospitals throughout the world for the employees and 3 family members, which just has my mother's name on now. Now I live alone, just a few minutes away from the main HQ of my company. The story doesn't end there. He called me a few days ago, asking me for another 10K. This time, he says no matter how much I get in my salary, I should send him 10K every month. If you are living with your expenses, you know that's impossible. To put that into contrast, I make around 25K a month. The room I live in costs 14.5K a month in rent. Also, there are internet costs, food, tax, and other essentials I should take care of. So I just decided to ignore him for a few days. I've made up my mind. I'm not paying him a penny after this, even if it means that the money would save his life. I'll let him die. If the money is for his funeral, I'm going to let his body rot in the open. Like I said, I'm not an angel. I've suffered in life, but that doesn't mean I'm going to help my oppressors to be a good hero. Everyone should own up and pay for what they are worth. So yes, the money is mine. I'm saving the rest of my money, salary expenses, for my future wife, marriage, and kids. Update. Many of you said I shouldn't be calling my mom an angel because she's standing there and watching my dad abuse me. That's not fully true. To add context, she is the reason I'm not on the streets right now. She's been working her bum off to make sure that her son gets a good future. She was alone when I was born. No family members near her to support me. She's the one who made sure I studied well and got a good job. She didn't have to. She's from a rich family, and my dad is descended from royalty. She could have used his money for us and taught us, me and my sis, to do the same. Instead, she worked and taught us as well. She's the one who helped me move out and get to where I am. Sure, she did get a good share of the money I sent my dad, but she isn't as bad as you think. In my story, she is one of the very few good people. Funny they had the nerve to pull family comes first line when they stood by and let you be abused all those years. Clearly what they actually mean is only some family comes first, and we get to pick and choose who gets to be the scapegoat. You're well within your rights to ignore his calls for the rest of your life. You're just an ATM to him. Good for you for getting out of the house when he continued to treat you poorly and doing well for yourself. I don't know if this is the right sub, but I need advice, lol. When I was 18, I got my first car that my dad helped me get, so he co-signed. I am now turning 21 next month and have been in a long-distance relationship for a year and a half. We live 6 hours apart. When my boyfriend and I first met in October 2020, I offered to pick him up at the train station, which is about 3 hours from me. Once my mom found out, she instantly said no, and everything went crazy. My dad sat down and had a talk with me and explained that I'm not allowed to do so, and he'll take my car away. Being 19 at the time, I was like, what the heck? I understood for safety precautions, so let that one slide. The next time I'd been with my boyfriend for some months now, I was almost 20. I really missed him and was thinking about driving to him. I thought it'd be different since they met him and such. Nope. My dad talked to me again and said I'm not allowed. My parents talked to each other to try and figure out how the co-signer can take away the car. And he threatened he'd take my car away again. Then he said I have 30 days to figure out how I'm going to take his name off the title, which isn't possible unless I pay it all off, which it still isn't paid off. Well, that was over a year ago now, and his name is still on the title because there's no way to get it off. Since then, I've been afraid to even mention driving up to my boyfriend because of this, so I've just taken planes and trains. I'm almost 21. I don't even live with my dad. I live with my mom. He has crossed some boundaries too by tracking my phone without telling me. But I get texts from T-Mobile that say like, his phone number now has your location. I would be less mad about it if he at least told me about it, but I'm almost 21. I've made sure I've been more independent without permission, but this is really something where I don't know what to do. If he wants to get rid of your car, let him. Since you owe more than it's worth, it's in your best interest to let him take the car and sell it. You would have to pay off the loan to do that anyway, setting you free in the process. Then you can take your good credit rating, get another car, and one that they can't control you with. If you still have the same bank account they helped you open as a minor, they can take your money out at any time. Open a new bank account. It's time to financially untangle yourself from them, if you want the freedom to date whoever you choose. So there was a neighbor we had when I was in middle school, and I used to babysit for her. She was a nice enough lady. She had an 8-year-old at the time. I would just go over to her house with them after school for a few hours, for some extra money. She eventually got different hours at her job, I think. Maybe it was another reason, but either way, she didn't need me to babysit anymore, like after 6 months or so. We moved like a year later, and haven't really thought about her since. Now I'm almost 25. I have my own house and work a 9 to 5. I got on Facebook like 2 weeks ago. I don't have the app. I just check on my computer every once in a while. And I had a message from the woman I babysat for. Her message was basically, "It's been so long, how are you doing? You used to babysit my son years ago when you lived down the street. My son actually had his own baby earlier this year. I'd love for you to meet her. We actually could use someone to watch her Wednesday through Friday before my son and I get home from work. You are great with my son. You are the first person I thought of." I was so confused by this message. I babysat her son for maybe 6 months over a decade ago, and she wants me to come back and babysit her infant granddaughter now? I was the first person she thought of? LOL. I messaged her back and essentially said, "It's good to hear from you. That's lovely that your son had a daughter. She looks so cute in your pic. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in watching her. I'm sorry. I work until 5 and would be unable to anyways, but I hope you find someone." It's been 2 weeks since this, and I've gotten, no joke, 10 more messages from her begging me to babysit her granddaughter. I barely know these people, and she will not stop asking me. She even asked me to change my work schedule so I'd be able to. offering me $10 an hour to watch her. I am about to just block her, but I could not believe how strange this was. Could not believe the request she was trying to make. Oh, I found OP's Facebook account. It has been 10 years since I've seen her, but I bet that sweet teenager would like to earn some extra money babysitting again. Not saying that this is what went through her mind, but it is amazing to me how some people think that a person will stay as a perpetual teenager throughout their life without realizing that, hey, people do grow up and have their own lives. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm going to link it right here. The story is about a woman who doesn't care about OP living in her house, because the woman's daughter needs to live there. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.